What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Broad Street Boys. And ladies and gentlemen, tis the season. Tis the season of March Madness. Tis the season of college basketball. We have two of our experts here, Sam Curry and Ty Eckert. Ty has been on here, once or twice? And then Sam, I think this is your debut.
Yeah.
And I only say that because we tried, but by the way, newsflash for any newer viewers, we tried to do this in freshman year, and we did it, and we talked for an hour and 15 minutes, and then turns out we actually talk in this echoey like study room. So every single audio that you heard, you didn't hear any words. You just heard the echo and the backdrop. It was bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
But I appreciate you guys coming on. This is going to be a long one, but within this episode is going to be everything you need to know when filling out your bracket. Posted on Monday. I mean, you have an entire 2 or 3 days to fill it out. Yeah. So here we go. We're going to go. So this is how the episode's going to kind of be laid out. First, we're going to start with the regions. We're going to go region by region. Just give our, general favorite, matchups, in round of 64. And then we're going to go to our Cinderellas and talk more in depth about why we think these Cinderellas will be Cinderellas. And then on the other side, we're going to do the overrated teams that we have and give every single reason why these teams stink. And then we're going to go to our final four. Each one of us are going to the final four along with our national championships and then the national champions. But yeah, this is going to be a good one. So we're going to start. We're just going to go left to right. So we're going to start in the East. The East region includes Duke as the number 1 seed and UConn as the number 2 seed. This is one of the more juicier, corners of the bracket. Ty, I'll let you go first. Who are some of your favorites? Just give me some of your general favorites of this one.
Yeah, I think this is Duke's kind of region to lose here. Out of the 2 seeds, I personally have UConn as my lowest 2 seed.
Sure.
And they kind of showed that throughout the year. I mean, they just lost to St. John's, and in a already kind of weaker conference, being that 2 seed, I just don't really have faith in them, especially going into UCLA. Maybe potentially in the second round. So I think kind of Duke kind of got an easy ride here. That's kind of the opposite of what other people have been saying, that they kind of have a harder bracket.
Yeah.
But I think that's really just coach bias. Like, there's a lot of big coaching names in this bracket, but a lot of these teams have kind of been wavery lately. Like, even Kansas really doesn't really seem like they're good. They don't really seem like a team that would go far because they have so many big names that don't seem like they gel together well and don't seem like they really have that drive to win 6 games in a row that it takes to win March Madness. So I think genuinely this is Duke's bracket to lose.
I would agree, honestly. Sam, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the same thing. I don't think UConn losing a conference championship means that they are the lowest 2 seed. I think if you watched all season, they went back and forth with St. John. They lost by a lot to St. John first game. They came back, blew St. John out. And then, I guess the up and down. Yeah, I agree with who has the drive to win 6 games straight. And I do believe Duke does have that drive. I don't know. That's pretty much all I have to say about the number 1. I think UConn has a pretty good chance of getting to at least the Elite 8. Or past the Elite 8, but also that's for them to lose too. They can only they're the only people that can beat themselves, I think.
For sure. And honestly, I'm kind of going along with you guys. I think that people are kind of not overrating this region, but I think it's just kind of what Ty said, but I think even to a bigger scale, it's just because of the size and magnitude of a lot of these programs. Yeah. Think about it. You have UConn, UCLA, Michigan State, Louisville, Kansas, St. John's, Ohio State, and Duke all in one bracket. And I actually just put this together. You have the championship game in the Big East in one region.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. And I actually think a 5 seed for St. John's is slightly disrespectful after winning a Power 4 or 5 conference as well. That's honestly the one thing that kind of jumps out at me. And just to go even more, a little more, in depth in this, I think when St. John's will probably play Kansas, I think they're going to beat Kansas.
Yeah.
And honestly, just because of, coaching was one thing, but at the same time, I like Darren Peterson, but sometimes it's Darren Peterson and no one else. And
no one else, yeah.
Exactly.
especially in like okay, for example, me and Sam would I feel like watch a lot. I feel like Sam we watched a lot of random Kansas games on like
Kansas
Mondays,
games, yeah.
but I feel like they won a lot of those games because they were home. And
Hmm.
being at a neutral site, I feel like really favors St. John's more than it favors Kansas because I feel like
Hmm.
St. John's will play like MSG and play UConn often.
Yeah,
So they're kind
yeah,
of used to that, like I guess neutral site type of thing.
yeah.
So I think in this one specifically, I think I got St. John's to the Sweet 16. I mean,
Oh yeah, I got
Yeah,
St. John's to Sweet 16 too.
yeah,
Kansas, and then Darren Peterson. I mean, not shading Darren Peterson. He gets
please,
sick, you get sick. But it's like every other game that we watched with him, he wasn't. He was either hurt or he wasn't playing. And like, I mean, like they won those games, but like they never had like a consistent role player that like again like who's gonna be like how are you gonna win 6 straight games if
right,
like didn't even play 6 straight games like in a row like through the season or whatever. So I
sure,
don't know.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
absolutely.
so. I think St. John got Kansas too.
What also, not to go back to Duke, but what likes me about
please,
Duke also is they're so good on the road. Like looking at
yeah.
their road victories, they have
Oh my
so
god,
many good road victories. They're so solid on the road. I feel like
Hmm.
on March, that's so huge. Some teams, like you were
yeah,
saying, Sam, like rely so heavily on home court advantage.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that later. But Duke being one of those teams that can kind of go anywhere and play anywhere is gonna definitely be an
Hmm.
advantage to them.
for sure. And I feel like Ty, you mentioned it too, but I think UCLA could be sneaky in this one. Just
Absolutely. So
because they're kind of hot. But go ahead, please.
yeah, I actually have. This might change relying on Donovan Dent and whether he's
Yeah,
good or not. But what I've been seeing is he's fine. I low key have UCLA meeting Duke in the Elite Eight. I can see them upsetting UConn 100% in the round of 32, and Michigan State's very solid, but they don't seem like that team that has that upper echelon of ceiling. And UCLA's been hot recently.
yep,
They almost beat Purdue and basically not that they like kind of threw the game, but Donovan Dent kind of got injured, not really. They were just basically pulled him out. So I
yeah,
think they kind of were erring on the side of precaution rather than like really trying to win that game. And they're definitely a team I'm looking for to maybe make a run late in this tournament.
for sure. And UCLA, I feel like just to kind of end with this region, but I feel like UCLA has had a lot of I don't know if controversy is the right word, but they've been through a
Yeah,
lot as a team. And I
Yeah.
feel like that does one of two things to your team come March. That either splits you apart right in half or brings you more together. And I feel like it's low key brought them more
absolutely.
together. Especially
Yep,
because I do think Cronin is a pretty good coach. I just think
I agree.
he's kind of a douche and he can't really help himself
Yes.
in like a funny way. I just think he's kind of a dick, and that's fine. That's cool, but like that's just how he is. But yeah, do we have anything else about this region? I feel like we've kind of covered a lot of it.
Not yet.
USF I
Oh,
think
wait.
could also be kind of sneaky, but
I think
Yeah, I was
USF
gonna
could be
say that.
sneaky. They just
but
won
mhm.
their conference tournament or whatever. I'm excited. I was excited because I really wanted to see Xavier Brown play with
Yes,
USF. They low key put him like put his face on like on
And
the
he wasn't.
yep,
championship like logo. He's like the
yep,
main person there. I'm
yeah,
like,
he
hey, toward that
tore his knee.
ACL, but no, I'm excited to see USF and UCF play.
Mhm,
Just because I don't know, I just like Florida teams just have like a Florida swagger about them. It's like,
for sure.
like that's yeah. We'll get to that later.
I'll, I'll also point out this 8-9 match versus TCU Ohio
Yes,
State
thank you,
is gross.
thank you.
Yeah,
These might be two of the best 8-9 seasons I've ever seen. And
yeah.
Agree.
Bruce Thornton is nasty, is
He's that guy.
gross. So I would definitely watch out for this. I low key lean TCU based on how they've been playing recently, but it's going to be a really good game.
Me too. And TCU is very much a kind of like a matchup type of base team. Like I feel like they just give specific teams like really good fits or weird fits because of how good they are defensively. And I feel
Absolutely.
like they could do something similar to that to Ohio State. But I agree. I'm actually glad you brought that up because TCU is awesome. And then the other thing I'll say about USF and Louisville is I was actually just reading this in some article, but um, I'm slightly believing in trends, and I believe in kind of like the energy that is put into a game. USF has multiple people from Buffalo, and they're playing in Buffalo. A lot of their coaches are like grew up in that area, and the fact that they're back in Buffalo, I feel like will help them morale wise and just kind of I don't know vibes wise as well.
Yeah.
And plus, I
Absolutely.
like Louisville. I like Louisville, but South Florida has been hot, and I I I, I also feel like it's kind of a big thing if like if you're kind of projected to win your conference as a mid major and then you win your conference as a mid major, I feel like that says a lot, just in
Yep.
general. But do we have anything else
Totally.
about this region, please?
I don't. I think just because I think South Florida is hot, but I don't know if they're hot enough to
Yeah, no, I
steam
get it.
Louisville. To be honest,
Yeah, Louisville's good too,
It's gonna
so
be
they're
good.
they're really not
It'll
bad.
be a good
yeah,
game.
that's a good match. That's a good match.
I think that's one of the earlier games on Thursday as well, which is going to be
Yeah,
fun.
it's
Yeah,
at
that'll
one
be one of the
thirty.
first ones we
That's a one
watch.
thirty. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that I will be watching that game.
I'm also
Okay,
pretty sure that 6 versus 11 is one of the most popular upsets statistically, but I would have to look that number up.
that I was actually literally right before we hopped on this, I was looking at those types of trends, and 6 and 11 is the most popular upset. So
Okay, that's what I thought, but I
randomly
just wanted to make sure.
for whatever reason too, but yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Moving on to the South. The South is also an interesting like region, I guess. We were talking about this off camera, but it's the bottom of the bracket here
Yeah.
that I am just overall confused about. I don't know what to do for both the South and what is it, the Midwest. I'm
Yeah.
overall confused. But the South is headlined by Florida for some reason at the fourth spot as the SEC. I would say the SEC champion, but they're not the SEC champion yet. They're still one seed. And then you also have Houston as the 2 seed, but also some interesting mid majors here as well with
Mhm.
both McNeese and Troy. Sam, I'll have you go first because Ty went first last time. But give me your initial thoughts on the South region.
I don't really know anything about any of these teams other than Troy being. Didn't Troy win the Sun Belt
Yep,
championship?
yep,
Vanderbilt got JMU's old coach.
yep.
And then North Carolina, I want to say North Carolina is going to lose to VCU, but then like that's like a crazy. Like I feel like I'm pulling stuff out of my like butt at that point, and so it's like I don't know what to talk about with like this. It's just like I'm just going to be there watching, and it's just like I don't want to go for the. I didn't go for the. I got Houston beating Idaho, but then I have St. Mary's beating Texas A&M. Oh,
Same.
I guess that's the highest one too. And I have Illinois. Illinois, if you want to talk about, I have Illinois.
Yep.
Illinois in my Final Four. And
Hey, I
like,
like it. I like it.
um,
They're nasty. So
I think Illinois is just. I think every year Illinois is like cooked up, same as like Iowa State has like
yep,
cooked up a nice roster throughout the year. I don't know. I think it's like a lot of these players like senior year, junior years, like it's like they're like they know what to do come March. So
sure.
I don't know. This is gonna be a pretty interesting. I have Troy beating Nebraska. I don't know.
Nice.
I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're a little
So I do
scrappy.
too.
You do
That's
too.
that's a upset I've been seeing a lot recently.
Same.
And with you, I think Nebraska might be the worst 4 seed I've ever seen.
Yeah, me too.
Genuinely,
Yeah, they're not great.
if you split their first half of the season into their second half of the season, it is two completely different stories. They
Yeah.
went, I want to say 20-0 early in the year.
Hmm.
They were cooking, and I'm almost positive. Well, I'm going to check right now, but they're 6-6 in their last 12 games. And
Yeah.
Nebraska as a school never won a March Madness game in their school's history, which is crazy. That is
Yeah, this is
insane.
especially as far.
How is
Really.
Nebraska not won a March Madness game in their school's history? You can look it up. Just make sure I'm right. But going into trying to be their first March Madness win, already kind of cold, and playing a Troy team
Yeah.
that is sneaky good.
Yeah.
I personally have the Troy spread in this game. So I
Do you?
I
Nice.
tried to take a little bit of the risk out of it, but
Sure.
I like that call, Sam. That's definitely one I was looking at too.
Toy
Yeah.
spread for sure.
I think I think this is one of the crazier regions because you have weaker type of teams like honestly like Nebraska, but then a
Hmm.
really strong 13 seed in like there's a few of those. So this is probably the region that I have the most upsets in, if I'm gonna be totally real with you for that exact reason.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just gonna give you a few of them right now. I have Vanderbilt going to the Elite Eight. Um, and I
Yep.
because I slightly believe in vibes, and I believe in like they should not have like they blew Florida out. People are forgetting, like absolutely blew them
Oh,
out of
I
the field.
forgot about that.
Like like I think it was 91-74,
Yeah.
And believe me, I was watching that game. It was not because that tournament was in Nashville either. I could tell you that they just play such good team basketball, and I feel like the way Byington coaches is kind of made for March. And Byington's obviously won in March before. This is not his first rodeo for March, which is nice. And I just think like that McNeese team is pretty good in in the first round. Like I'm not going to discount McNeese, but at the same time, I feel like McNeese's year was last year, honestly.
Yeah.
And Vanderbilt plays a little fast, and I feel like it could become a track meet, and they could put up 100 points. Um,
Hmm.
the next round, if I think regard and next round is interesting because they either play Troy, who I like, and I agree. I'm honestly still going back and forth between Troy and Nebraska. I have no idea who's going to win, but I think they're better than both of those two teams, which then sends them to Florida, and I think Florida's the weakest one seed I've seen
One
in
seed, I
a
agree
long
too.
time.
I
They're just
100% agree.
so weak. I don't
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, right? Or just tell me if I'm wrong. But how do you lose a game by that many points in your conference tournament and then not and still be a one seed
Or
and
one
actually
seed.
move up?
I
You know what I
agree.
mean? I
No,
don't.
I don't get
It
it.
doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me, which is why I'm kind of just going for Vanderbilt just for fun.
I
But
agree.
yeah, and so I have that one, and then I also I'm not gonna lie, I really like how VCU plays. VCU in the past and their coach is a very defensive minded coach.
Yeah.
And if you remember, they were in it last year too, and they were one of the upset picks that everybody's picking. They didn't end up winning, but they made it their type of game and like super physical and like they'll punch you in the mouth type of thing. Except this year, VCU can score, and
Yeah.
I feel like if you add that along with the defensive mindset, I feel like they can go far. I think they beat North
Absolutely.
Carolina, and then I'm still going back and forth if they beat Illinois. I'm going back and forth on that. I know it's a hot take, but I really like just the overall makeup of VCU. Yeah, and it's something about how they play defense I love, and they honestly they crushed it in the A10 tournament too. They there wasn't really a game where I was like, oh, they might lose. Like no, they won a lot of them and they won them all big. But those are the two. Like I described it to somebody as this entire tournament as a whole. I think it's going to be somewhat similar to last year in that I think a lot of the high seeds will either make March or the final four or elite eight, but I think there will be a lot of little upsets like
Hmm.
within the first 2 weeks. But then they'll get like cannibalized by the big teams eventually. But yeah, that's what I have so far. What else? What else do you guys have in that one?
I can talk
Um,
a little bit about Houston if you
Sure,
want me to.
please.
They're kind of my favorite team in this kind of the bracket, just based
Same.
on what they did last year, and they retained a lot of those guys they had
uh,
last year. In addition to, they're just in a really hard conference, and they play such good March Madness basketball. It's insane. They're so good
Yeah,
defensively. They're so good
I
on the
disagree.
ball, and those teams are so good in March. They always
I
work out.
disagree. I agree.
You
I disagree.
Oh, okay. What I usually go off of is the teams that are really hot offensively but don't have the defense to back it usually play very swingy games, which
yeah,
leads to very little consistency because this tournament's so long. If we were talking about a shorter tournament, maybe these teams could get really hot and spur up in the moment. But the teams that really can eat you down defensively and slow down the game really end up winning these close games in March. And with what we were saying, the weakest one seed in the conference,
yeah,
I had again Vandy going to my Elite Eight to face Houston, and we were
yeah,
talking about the kind of the curse of the twos
yeah.
before the podcast, and I kind of think this is where it ends.
Me too. Go ahead, Sam.
I just feel like I feel like Houston's another. I think they're an overrated team. I'm sorry. I think Houston's overrated. They all every year they come in. What were they, a number one seed last year? And then a year
Yeah,
before that, weren't they a number one, number two seed? And we
Yeah,
always
yeah,
say they're so defensively driven. I'm sorry. It's just like you're going against an offensive. I have Houston versus Illinois, and I think Illinois is more offensively driven and can
yeah,
like get an offense going better than Houston can. And I don't think Houston. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think Illinois is. I think this is another year for Houston. It's like, oh, y'all had a good season, but it's night after Sweet 16. Like it's time to go. What is it? It's time to go to Cancun. They go to
it's time
Cancun
to go
every.
to.
Maybe switch it up and go to like Europe and go get a European player. But Houston is. I think Houston's good, but like even if they make it past the Sweet 16 to the Elite Eight, to play Vanderbilt. I just think Vanderbilt's going to be so fast. Like they try to slow Vanderbilt down. I think Vanderbilt's going to get a burst out, and then it's going to be. I don't know. We'll have to see. I just don't think that they're. I don't. I think they're a overrated team to me. I'm over Houston.
Sure. Uh, I'm not trying to gang up on you, Sam, but I only have Houston going to the Final Four. But it's mainly because
That's fair.
for the exact same thoughts of why I think VCU could make a run as well. They're like Houston. I do agree with you. It's the idea of these defensive minded teams is a little overrated sometimes, and that's what Houston is. They're very deep, like what's his name? Sampson, their coach is a very defensive minded coach that helps you. I feel like a lot in conference play, but and it obviously helps in March Madness, but you have to be able to score. I feel like again, I can speak now because Sam, we've watched a lot of in Houston. I can tell you right, I feel like they're always on like the 9 o'clock game against whoever, and
100%.
like I feel like we've watched a lot of Houston, and I feel like it's almost flipped. All of a sudden, they're not like awesome defensively, but they're almost a little better offensively, which is so flipped for a
Yeah, you're
Samson-based
right.
team.
I don't know. Like,
But you see what I mean? That's
yeah,
that's the only reason why I'm saying this because
yeah,
it's so different from every other Houston team I've watched. I'm used to like the Quentin Grimes Houston of just
yeah.
defense, and maybe you could shoot a three. They have a top, I'll say 6 freshmen in Kingston Flemings, and all that dude does is shoot. If you see him, yeah,
Nasty.
all he does is shoot. And then they also have Sharp, who again is an absolute shooter, and by the way also made that national championship team last year and is going back, so he already knows how to do it. And then you have Yuzan, who is just the exact opposite to those two guys, and all he does is play defense and shoot threes. There's no
That's fair.
between. So that's the only reason why I'll push back. But at the same time, I do agree. If Illinois plays Houston and Illinois is hot, and they have that one dude that is only all he does is score. I'm blanking out on his name, but all he does is score. It's your best player, and he's so good. They could blow Houston out.
They could do their thing.
100%. So
And I'll just
that's
be
why
looking
I don't hate your idea, but I think honestly,
to
like
be determined.
as you were saying, I think that might be one of the best games in both the Sweet 16
Yeah.
and in all
100%.
of the tournament.
Yeah,
Honestly.
I agree.
Great game.
Right. Okay, so what else do we have on this? Anything, or should we move on?
I think that's all I
Honestly,
got.
this part of the bracket's kind of boring. So,
I agree. I'm confused. I feel the same way because the 6 seed stinks, the 4 seed's weird. Like, yeah, whatever. Okay, we'll move
Yeah.
on to the next side of the bracket, which is the West. So top right, this is an interesting one as well.
Yeah.
This has sneak peek. This is actually has my national championship in it. But this is the West, and it's Arizona as the 1 seed, and Purdue as the 2 seed, and along with Gonzaga as the 3, and then I think the juiciest part is on the top part of this, where Arkansas is the 4 and Wisconsin's the 5. Those 2 games are going to be nasty, and we're going to talk about it. But I will just leave this off, and I'm confused why Purdue's a 2 seed. I thought I get it. They're hot. I get they're hot, but I feel like they've moved up like 3 seeds within the last 30 hours.
Yeah.
So one of you take it away, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
You want me to take it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think this is gonna be some good banter here.
Please.
So this is definitely, at least for me, the hardest section of the bracket. And
Yeah, I
immediately
agree.
when this came out, I was like, wow, this is a gauntlet. You
Yeah.
have the Big 12 champ, the Big 10 champ, and the SEC champ in the same part of the bracket, which feels ridiculous. Like
Is it too?
you would think they would split these teams up into separate parts of the bracket, but they didn't, right? So now we just get to look. So first off, I would say Arizona kind of got screwed here, in my opinion. Their route to the Final Four is hard,
Hard.
So-
Yeah.
really hard.
So
Villanova and Utah State is genuinely a pretty tough match, but you're then playing, I'm guessing, the winner of Wisconsin, Arkansas, which
Mhm.
both those teams, if they have made it to that point, are going to be ridiculously hot. Like you're talking about really
Yep.
flashy offensive teams. So if they
Mhm.
make the Sweet 16, they must be shooting well. So that's already a little bit of a freak out for me on Arizona wise. Also, just the fact that Arizona has let down so many people over the last 6 years. I don't know if it's like my bias of previous years, but it
Oh,
feels like
I believe it.
this is the best team they've had so far. But it
Yep.
feels like every year they keep getting this buzz and buzz and buzz, and then they get beat by somebody stupid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a little bit where my hesitancy comes with Arizona, and that's
Yep.
kind of where I'll leave it for you, Evan.
Yeah. So I this is just such an odd like part because so I'm a Villanova fan, so I know that team pretty well. Villanova would be way better and have a better seed if their stud freshman didn't get hurt. So also, and he's a freshman, but at the same time, he's their 3 or 4. So
Mhm.
as soon as he got hurt, now they cannot rebound. Like to the point where when they played Georgetown, I think Georgetown had 45 rebounds and Villanova had like 25.
Oh,
So they
nice.
cannot rebound for the life of them.
That's
With that being said, I'm going to pick them because I'm going to pick my team. But at the same time, I I find it interesting that a lot of the professional guys, both on Twitter and on TikTok and all that, I find it interesting that they thought Utah State fell a little higher than they thought, and I feel like that scares me. So that's a game that I think that'll be honestly an entertaining game to watch overall.
I agree.
And Ty, you'll be at my house for that, so you better get Nova'd up, buddy. It's a
So I do have
Friday at
Utah
4.
State winning my bracket, but
Oh
it
well,
should be it'll be good. It'll be a
oh
good game.
if I didn't love Villanova, I'd probably pick Utah State as well, just because they're
Yeah.
good.
But
Um,
I will say I do get burned by the Mountain West
yeah,
every single
every year,
year. And
every year.
every single year I'm wrong. So
Yep,
I don't know why I'm picking Utah State because I think I picked them the last time Utah State was in the bracket, I picked them and they lost.
me
So
too, me too.
that might need
Um,
to be revisioned later on, but
oh for sure, me too. I feel the same way. There's like every like credible dude is picking Utah State, but also saying don't. But I think it's something like don't ever trust the Mountain West is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Don't trust the
All
Mountain
right, I'm
West.
choosing Nova.
Yeah, I'm choosing Nova too, but
I got
um,
Nova.
I would
I'm.
imagine Sam, you're going to talk about Arkansas, Wisconsin, but the last thing I'll say before you go is I think BYU's being slept on, guys.
Oh
I'll be
no, I'm literally.
totally
I'm not
real
talking
with you.
about Arkansas,
Please go. Okay,
Wisconsin.
then go
I
ahead,
can
please,
care less about
please
Arkansas, Wisconsin. To
go ahead.
me, this is like the battle of like your top 3 picks in like the W or in
Yeah,
the NBA. It is like you
yeah,
got Koa Pete and Koa. I think it's going to be like when it all said it. Like I think it's going to get to Arkansas, BYU or Arizona, BYU. And I think it's going to be like battle of like the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick or the number 3 pick.
uh,
I don't
yes,
know. I think the game that's going to start BYU or put BYU on a good trajectory is this Gonzaga game. If
mhm,
Gonzaga wins, which I have Gonzaga winning, but Gonzaga versus Kennesaw State
yeah,
to play BYU, I think that game is where AJ DeBansa is just going to like skyrocket off and he's just going to like take it, just lead his team. I don't know. I just think he's such a good player. So
yeah.
I'm just excited for anything coming up there. I think my other underrated team or overrated team is Purdue.
Yeah.
Personally,
Thank you.
um, don't think Purdue should have been a number 2 seed. I don't know.
Nope.
I've just been bored. They're like boring to watch to me. Like there's like nothing going on ever watching Purdue. So I think again BYU and then Arizona BYU.
I get
Sorry.
some devil's advocate
That
here
that
because I
that
love
that Arizona that
Please,
Arizona game last time was really good.
bless.
I think it was close or it was a blowout for like the first half, but then AJ DeBansa then again did AJ DeBansa things and came
Right,
back. I think he had like 15 or like 17 points in the second half, which is
right.
like okay,
So good. Go ahead,
good,
Ty.
great, good basketball for us to watch.
Right. Ty's about to play some devil's advocate hard
okay.
here. I
So
feel it.
I'm just gonna throw it out here. I got BYU losing in my round of 32. I'm a little worried about Richie Saunders tearing his ACL.
Yeah.
That's a bigger part of
Yes.
their team than people I think are realizing,
Yep.
especially with his like senior presence. He's been there for so long,
Yep.
and he's been such a staple of those previous BYU teams that scares me just a little bit that they might not have at least the firepower to go super far. Like I can see them definitely win.
Fuck! I
They
didn't
definitely
think
win that
about him
game in the
tearing his
64.
ACL.
And I honestly think they could probably beat Gonzaga too. Gonzaga also has a really major injury with, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, I think his name is Bryce Huff, or it's one of their
Yes.
big men that are pretty good, but
Yeah.
he's injured until they said the earliest you could possibly come back was the Sweet 16. So he will not be in that
Oh,
game
wow.
either.
Yeah.
So we're really just rolling the dice on whoever makes it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
I would say if Gonzaga does make it there and he does come back, that would definitely change my Sweet 16 pick. But unpopularly, it seems like I have Purdue making my Final Four.
Okay. That's a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
That
know they've burned a lot of people in the past. So
me.
I just said that with Arizona. So I'm a little bit of a hypocrite myself. But I just like how senior level they are. I really look at those teams that have had guys who have stayed together for long, because I just feel like that kind of works in March when you face adversity. And I don't know, something about Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn just make
Yeah.
they're so good. They're so
I
good
agree.
together. And I mean, I don't know if you've seen Braden Smith's stats lately. He's averaging like 12 assists a game. It's actually
Yeah.
bonkers.
It's ridiculous.
And
It's great.
Wait, Braden
if he
Smith's the
can
dude
just
that had like
pass the ball
29 against
and get
BYU,
points like
right?
that,
Yeah.
he's been absolutely disgusting. So and they've been probably the hottest team coming into this, winning, just beating Michigan. And
Yep.
obviously, we don't know what happened if UCLA, if Donovan Dent didn't get injured and all that. I just
Right.
think, I don't know. I feel like this is a Big Ten year for me.
Yeah. I only disagree because, like, I think Sam said it. They're so boring. They're, I think
They
that's
are.
why they're really boring, and
Nothing going
They are
on there.
boring.
they're like stupid, like pick and roll thing where there's another
Yes.
Braden Smith bounce pass
They
to
play
this
super
big dude
slow.
throwing floaters.
Right?
Like that's their entire offense. And Braden Smith is
100%.
good, but he plays like he's 45. He doesn't shoot. He
Yeah.
plays like some dude like at the park where he can't raise his arms, but he
Yeah.
can pass. like
Yeah, he
he
plays
doesn't
like the
shoot.
50s. Like he plays
He
in the
does.
50s. And I
He does.
kind of like that.
And he looks like he's from the 50s too. So he's old and like I think that's why I don't have them going super far. But
No, I respect that.
yeah, and just to respond to your thing about BYU, I feel like BYU is kind of set, and AJ Debanza specifically. I feel like there's always that one player that comes out of March Madness that you know is good, and he's going to be a top 3 pick. But I feel like really has both the drive and the motivation to be like, I want to be the outright number 1 overall pick.
Right. That's what
And
I'm
I
saying.
feel like he could have that. And yeah, and I think I mentioned this like before we started, but I have a very hard bias on one of these conferences, and you could probably figure it out when I tell you that BYU is in my Sweet 16. So like and there's no hate to Gonzaga, but didn't they just lose to the
Yes.
their conference, right?
Yeah, that conference tournament.
Yeah, to Santa Clara.
Championship.
So it's not like they're coming in super hot. That's
And they're
that's
ranked
also not right.
above them.
Yeah,
Again. What
by
is
a
up
lot
with
too.
I can
By like an
definitely see them
entire
making the Sweet 16. 100%.
That's kind of my thought with them. But and then I think the last thing we can kind of talk about is the Arkansas Wisconsin aspect of this. I like Wisconsin. And this will be all I say about it, and I'll throw it to you. But I like Wisconsin. I do. And they are slightly hot and all of that. But I think that they look really good against Michigan because they stacked up really well against Michigan. If that makes sense. It's one of those teams because it's one thing to play a team really well once, like during like the conference tournament, but they also played Michigan really well during the season too and almost won. And both times they were almost, I think, so this recent one, they were 12.5 point underdogs. And in their other one during the season, they were 9.5 point underdogs. And both games were decided by 2 or 4 points.
Yeah.
So, and not saying that I think Wisconsin can get past High Point because High Point is hot as well. And
That's what I was
everybody
gonna say
picked
as
High
well.
Point last year. And they give me, so do you remember what, 3 years ago? No, 2 years ago. McNeese, everybody's like, oh, McNeese made the tournament for the first time. Oh my God, they could shoot threes. Yeah, whatever. And then they got destroyed in the round of 64. And then last year, people had the exact same thinking about High Point as they did about McNeese last year, and McNeese won.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like the same kind of, I don't know, talking points. And so they definitely fit the mold for a Cinderella. But I think it'll be just how if Wisconsin, I feel like we say this every year about Wisconsin. If Wisconsin can shoot the 3,
Yeah.
but if they can't shoot the 3, like against JMU in our sophomore year, then then High Point's gonna win. So that's what I have about that game. And with the Arkansas game, I actually feel more like so. I have Arkansas going to I think it's a Sweet 16, and then I think Arkansas Arizona is one of the best games of the entire tournament. But
Agreed.
Yeah, I had that too. Yeah.
I honestly feel more bad in these two games for High Point and Hawaii than anyone else throughout this entire bracket.
Agreed.
Hawaii is good at basketball, which is crazy to say out loud because they really do play so far away, and you feel like no one would be good at basketball in Hawaii, but they are so good at
Yeah.
basketball. If they played like somebody else random, almost like if they played Kansas, like
Mhm.
that would be good. But Arkansas is arguably one of the hottest teams in the entire country right now, with one of the highest moving prospects to go into the draft in Darius Acuff,
Mhm.
who I feel like preseason no one talked about Darius Acuff, and then all of a sudden the past
Yeah,
two
no.
months, ever since he put out 49 against Alabama, which I
Alabama.
watched live, and I was like, this dude can
Those
throw it from
Cal
half court and he's
guards.
gonna hit it. That's what it is, and Acuff is so good. So I honestly have them going to the Sweet 16, and I'm still going back and forth between those two because I'll tell you who my national championship, person or team is,
I
but
would
I don't know.
agree. That's one of
It's
my hardest. That's one of my hardest games to pick as well. So I would completely
it's
agree with everything you said there.
yeah. Anything else?
I don't know.
From
I don't
this.
know. Arizona, Arkansas.
Oh wait, I have one more thing, and
Oh
and then we
yes.
can move on. Missouri,
I was
Miami.
about to say. Yep.
Okay, so I think we're gonna say the exact same thing, but so for everybody watching that just wants like I feel like the 7 versus 10 is always like such a weird one because they're just gonna lose to the 2 seed. You know what I mean? It's always like such a weird one. I'm picking Missouri here because they're playing in Kansas City. Okay, cool. So we both did our homework because they're playing in Kansas City and they're what an hour from their campus. That's essentially so we're all from JMU. That's essentially if they played in DC from James Madison. Like it's like the same type of thing that entire stadium is going to be in Missouri, just Missouri out. So I'm picking Missouri off of vibes and that. Do you have anything else to add, Ty? That because that's what I have.
Yeah. I couldn't believe how many people were talking about U of Miami. I've seen brackets where U of Miami are making the Final Four. I can't even. I'm like, what is going on? I think Missouri's a good team. This is one of the
Yep.
few SEC teams I actually like, and it's because of Mark Mitchell. He is
Yep.
gross. Genuinely, like,
Disgusting.
can win you a game on that. Like,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure in the SEC tournament they were losing bad, and he came back and literally, I think, almost won the game or like won them the game.
Yep.
He is disgusting, and he seems just like the player in March who would just heat up at the right time, and his name just gets known like that. So
Yep.
that's at least what I'm saying. I'm riding with Missouri as well.
Yeah. Anything else, Sam?
No, I'm not riding with Missouri. I feel.
Well,
I
that's okay.
think that the SEC is way harder than the A. Oh, I think the ACC is way harder than the SEC at times, like throughout the
Yeah.
season, whenever you play teams or for like certain stretches. And I think personally that Miami's had a better season with the competition that the ACC has versus the
Sure.
SEC this season. But
Sure.
I don't know. That's another really good game. We shall
It's gonna
see.
be that's one of the better, more underrated
Yeah,
games. 'Cause
like that's a
again,
17. That's another one. I don't
yes,
know. Like I'm just like
yep, it's a toss
I'm
up.
going with Miami, but it could be Missouri.
Yep,
I don't
and
think it will
I
be.
think the last thing I'll say about this, just to end us out with this region, is I think Ty, you kind of said it to intro this, but this is one of the tougher regions I've seen
Yeah.
ever. Because think about all the firepower they have in this. They have Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. They they have Gonzaga as a team, so they have Few as a coach. They have Debanza, they have Acuff, they have Wisconsin, they have Nova, and they have Coapede, Jaden Bradley, and that
Completely
entire
ridiculous.
disgusting Arizona team. So this region is I can't even describe it. Okay, moving on to the final region here, and then we're gonna give our overall favorite Cinderella's overrated Final Four. But final region could be the weirdest region arguably.
Absolutely.
High, with Michigan as the one, you have weirdly the WAC conference champion with Santa Clara in here. You have Tennessee, you have Bama, you have Akron, you have
Iowa
Texas Tech.
State.
Ty went first last time, so Sam, you can go ahead with this one. What kind of catches your eye with this?
I really like the Iowa State Santa Clara matchup. I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's such a fun, like Like, could Santa Clara upset Iowa State? I think Iowa State's another one of those teams for me personally. It's like every time I watch them in March, I feel like they just like
Yep.
always like crap the bed, and like
Yep.
it's just dang, like I had a good season and then now it's over.
Yep.
I really am excited for the Tennessee Virginia. I think I have Virginia going all the way to the Sweet 16. I have Virginia going all the way
Yeah.
to the Sweet 16. And
Me
like
too.
I'm going back and forth, and if I want to say that Virginia's could beat Iowa State because I honestly like Virginia's hot.
Hmm.
Virginia's really really hot, and if they could beat if they could almost beat Duke, I think they got Iowa State.
Yep.
But it's also like we'll have to see. Hold on, let me go back down. Let me go back down. This Texas Akron game, I think Akron got Texas Tech personally. I think that Texas
Me
Tech
too.
is like a fraud 5 team, and I don't know. Akron, didn't we play Akron like regular season like
Yes.
JMU or something like
Yes.
that? And then they like spank us, or did we
Yeah.
lose to them?
It was close. It was close until 15 minutes left in the second half, and then they beat us by like 20.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think Akron
Pretty
has that one gone. I don't like Alabama. I think Alabama is like a overrated team purse. I think they're
Yep.
also over. So if Akron beats Texas Tech, I think they could also beat Alabama personally.
Yep.
And then go on to what's at the Sweet 16.
Yep.
Michigan. I also think this is kind of one of those Michigan to lose like groups or whatever. Like if Michigan lost this one, then like they lost. That's a sad loss, but that's all I got right now.
Yeah. Good time.
Okay, so I would say I see this as a Michigan Virginia crash course to the Elite Eight. Personally, I
Yeah,
don't see
Sure.
any other way that can't be. Personally, Michigan got a great draw here. Personally,
yeah,
I
Oh
think
my gosh.
again, like
Yes.
how you were saying, Sam, like Alabama's a really weak 4 seed. They're just not a March
hmm
Madness team that I trust at all. They're like kind of
yeah,
exactly the mold of they get so hot, but they get so cold, and that just does not work when you're trying to win multiple games in a row.
hmm
And honestly, look for Hofstra. Don't
Yep.
count out Hofstra because Hofstra can shoot. And when we're talking about Alabama being that offensive team, if you're playing another offensive team, it's really going to come down to who's shooting better on the day.
Yep.
And that could be a letdown spot where Alabama doesn't want to see what is about to happen. I'm almost positive to Alabama lost to Ole Miss, right, in the SEC championship.
Yes. Yes, they
uh,
did. Yes, they did.
I
Yes,
think
they
so,
did.
right? So
Because they were going to go on to
Ole
play
Miss was a
Arkansas. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Ole Miss was very hot again, but they were a 15 seed coming into the tournament, and they
yeah.
were 4-14 in the SEC.
Yep.
And in a champion in like a tournament type of game, they lost to Ole Miss. So that's
So,
just already not looking good. I would say again, like with that whole group, right? Just roll the
Yep.
dice. Like I genuinely think
Yep.
any one of these 4 teams could come out of this. So definitely
Yep.
looking for a Cinderella in this group of 4 for me
Oh,
personally.
for sure. And not to hate on Alabama too much, but it's one thing when you almost score too much, but it's also another thing that I said off camera that they cannot rebound either. By
no.
the way,
At all.
and I think that might be their biggest issue is that they cannot control the possession and then they can't rebound. So, and again, it's also another thing that like imagine like you don't have a good field goal percentage, but you could offensive rebound really well. They're like the exact opposite of that. They shoot at a really high clip and they shoot a lot, but they can't offensive rebound.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
such a
crazy.
weird way of playing basketball, and it's funny because they've always been like this. Like I actually like Nate Oates as like a coach. I think he's a really good motivator, but it's just interesting that they haven't like adapted within the last 3 or 4 years. Like they just haven't adapted.
hmm
Um, yeah, this is. I think what I don't know how to describe it because Michigan is weird. I'll be honest. Like I like Michigan a lot, right? They're the 1 seed and they deserve to be a 1 seed. But Michigan kind of scares me in that when they can't shoot the three ball, they kind of stink.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and yes, everyone's gonna talk about oh my gosh, like Michigan, they're so big, everybody's so tall, they play really nice defense, which is an absolute fact. Like that, like you can't go against that. But if they can't shoot the three, or at like just give me 35%. That's really all I ask for. Just give me
Yeah.
35, or actually more like just give me 30. Give me 30%. If they shoot it below like 32%, they will probably lose the game. Because
Yeah.
they'll rely too much on Lendeborg, who is awesome, but it's also like they need Mara to do something inside, but he doesn't really shoot threes.
Yes.
Like it's this
Yeah.
is such a interesting thing. And I think one of the ESPN guys said, and I think he kind of phrased it perfectly. I think this. I mean, obviously, this team's headlined by Lendeborg and Mara in the middle, but I think it has the most pressure on Elliot Cadeau because Elliot
100%.
Cadeau was advertised as this pure scorer point guard that could kind of distribute the ball. If listen, me personally, if I'm the Michigan coach and Cadeau doesn't have at least 5 assists and three threes, then that's a disappointment. Just because he has the, I feel like if you watch Michigan, he has the ball in his hands so much. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm not saying that Michigan's a fraud, like in the slightest, but they have really like scary like
Scary sus.
yeah,
If
I
it
don't know how
don't
to
go
describe it.
right, then it don't go right. No, I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
And then the other thing I'll say
100%.
about this region as well, and I think Sam said it, but Texas Tech is very fraudy to me. Like,
Oh, fucking!
and
Their
we
women's team is the same way. Their women's team,
right.
their women's team started off like 15-0. They got this
Oh
like
yeah,
7-foot African player, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're about to be insane." I
yeah,
think they went 16. They lost like 16 games after that. It's like,
exactly.
bro,
And their best player JT Toppin's hurt, so like, and not even just
JT not coming.
right, not even just best player either. Defending Big 12 Player of the
Yeah.
Player of
Year,
the year.
JT
That's their
Toppin.
team.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's just sitting there doing nothing. He's their best player by far. And Akron is so I was looking. So obviously you see all these like stats and stuff from Ryan Hammer on Twitter or people like that on like TikTok and stuff. Do you guys know Akron plays at one of the fastest paces in all of college basketball? So what
Yeah.
they could basically do to Texas Tech, who is okay at scoring, and like if Texas Tech like scores threes at a high clip, they'll probably win. But if they can't knock down threes, then Akron can literally run them out of the gym.
Yeah.
And so Akron's issue last year, which is why they didn't make it to the round of 32. Akron couldn't play defense last year. I don't know if you guys remember. Like they couldn't play defense. Like JMU beat them
At all.
think about that last
Like
year.
completely at all.
like you know what I mean? Like last year that like they tried to run you out of the building, but then they couldn't play defense because I think that there was some sort of conditioning issue when you run half the game. But I think they kind of adapted to it, and their team also full of seniors as well, which I really helps everybody involved. So I really think Akron can make it to that, and it'll be honestly I think this last thing I'll say for now, but it'll be tough I think for Akron to beat Alabama because it's almost like Alabama is a little better than Akron, like at what Akron does, if that makes sense. But that's honestly what I have for that. What else? Like the Santa Clara matchup's interesting too.
Oh yeah, I got Santa Clara over Kentucky. Sorry, I think that's
I
what
do too.
I think that Kentucky. Who did Kentucky? I feel like I just saw Kentucky has so many players that are hurt, right?
Yeah.
And then like I don't know, they're at a 7 seed. I don't know. I expect more for if you want me to bet that Kentucky can't lose first round, I need a little bit more than I've gotten out of Kentucky this season.
I agree.
And I haven't got. Every time I watch Kentucky, they haven't won a game personally. So,
right. I agree.
I can kind of.
And then I just needed a Cinderella team too. So I think Santa Clara is the perfect Cinderella team. You know.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, I don't even know if they could consider a Cinderella team. I think they're just a good team. They're huge. They play super physical, and I mean they're getting hot at the right time. They just beat Gonzaga, and I know like Gonzaga's a little bit banged up, but I mean I think they compare really well against this Kentucky team who's been very wishy-washy as of lately. So yeah, I love that take, and I'm with you again. I think they can definitely have Iowa State as well. I think Iowa State's one of the fraudiest 2 seeds with UConn. They are not good on the road. I'm pretty sure 4 of their 5 losses are on the road, which again is not good for March Madness. If you're only really playing really consistent basketball at home, that's not going to work in March. And I will say on the counter, Michigan's the best team away in all of basketball. So I mean, 2 things I was kind of looking at when I made my bracket for this section. But yeah, I'm with you, Sam. I have Santa Clara going to the Sweet 16, but ultimately losing to Virginia, who I think is a little bit too much of a wagon.
Okay,
I like that. I actually like that too. It's funny. I made this Final Four and I didn't think of all these things. So my Final Four is gonna be wonky. I'm just gonna warn you guys. But
No, you're
yeah,
good.
and then I think the last thing that we could talk about with the Midwest is probably the most intriguing team of the entire 64 team bracket. Miami, Ohio has a play-in going
Hmm
31
Yes,
and
sir.
1. Do we think that they're gonna make any noise as a Maction?
Yeah, SMU sucks.
They
They're
think, right?
really
Okay, cool.
bad. Like this bubble this year was one of the worst bubbles I have ever seen in my entire life. And I'm just gonna say this: the Auburn people I've seen like freaking out, complaining is so funny. You can't go. I think they were 18, 16, or
Yep,
they were right around 500 and
yep,
make March Madness. That's absolutely bonkers. I'm so sorry.
correct,
You can't be
correct.
you have a team who went undefeated in the regular season. You're trying to say that we want them in over an like
Our
come on.
our
To me, that's
62
complete
team.
bogus.
I agree.
But yeah, I think they definitely have a chance against SMU. SMU is not that good, and I'm
I agree.
almost positive they're really bad away as well. I could be wrong, but
Are they? I wouldn't be surprised.
So you
um,
Miami, Ohio, or Tennessee?
I'm
Tennessee.
taking I kind of like Tennessee.
I
Yeah,
like Tennessee too, but I
yeah,
don't think
and listen,
Tennessee's get past Virginia.
the
Whoever plays
I agree.
Virginia's not getting
that
past.
is a total David versus Goliath type of matchup too. Tennessee, one of the
Yeah,
biggest programs in all of
So
sports
funny.
in college basketball against one of the smallest in Miami, Ohio.
Yeah,
That is like
it's gonna be
as
funny.
big versus small as you could possibly get.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
okay, so I think that's the entire bracket. Do we
Yeah.
want to go through our like give us like your top two like Cinderellas, I guess.
Okay.
Ty, if you want to go first, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I'll leave Santa Clara for Sam. So I'm gonna go
thank you.
for just like Cinderella's. The way I consider Cinderella is like a really low seed that has a chance of making the Sweet 16 or higher, right? Because
Yes.
when we're talking about Cinderella, I don't think any of these teams have any real chance of going super far.
Yeah.
But just in that kind of context, I personally love Hofstra. Personally, I think they
Yes.
can genuinely be out. I think Alabama is so fraudulent, and if Hofstra gets hot, they have been shooting the lights out. If they can make that game scrappy, they can win that game. And again, we're talking about Texas Tech Akron. We could genuinely be seeing Akron Hofstra in the round of 32. I don't think that's completely out of the possibility at all.
Agree.
So for two Cinderellas, I'm thinking both of those teams. I think both of those teams have a chance to make it to the Sweet 16, but ultimately we'll probably get wiped by Michigan. But I guess we'll see. But those would be my two Cinderellas to make it to the Sweet 16.
Okay. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I'm definitely saying Santa Clara. I don't think that to me, I think a Cinderella team. I guess yeah, like making it to the Sweet 16. That's like it. But also like I think like who gets like a top win that like oh you weren't like who's gonna shake up like the March Madness bracket a lot. And
Right.
I really think that could be Troy or VCU.
Yep.
Um,
Oh,
I
you're
think
stealing my.
both. Oh, I stole them. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Keep
should have
going.
just stuck with Santa
Keep going. No,
Clara.
no, no, keep going. I'll pick some others.
I think that those two teams can like I think the Kentucky win will be big, and then I also think that Santa Clara. I don't know if they can beat Iowa State, but I don't think they can beat Iowa State. But I think that if they beat Kentucky, they might beat Iowa State too. They might have enough like, and like it's just like I guess like willpower and just like good like energy pushing them. Like they'll just be on a streak. And then like Troy, I don't know, Sunbelt. Like let's see what we can. Let's get Sunbelt to the Power Five. Can you be a Power 10?
Sure.
Sure,
Sure. Yeah.
sure.
I like those.
Um,
My number one is VCU. I know we've kind of already said
okay.
it, but they're kind of built on a smaller scale as a lot of these teams, a defensive minded team that can score, if that makes sense. So VCU is my number one. I think someone that we really haven't talked about at all that I feel like we need to mention because the other team is not slumping, but they had a weird loss. North Dakota State is not that bad. They're actually pretty good when it comes to scoring.
Okay.
They cannot really defend, and that's an issue. But at the same time, if and they're playing Michigan State, and Michigan State is good, and I actually like Michigan State. But if North Dakota State is just on it that day, then they could beat anybody.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like my wild card. But like VCU and USF I think are my two others that we haven't really mentioned, but
Good picks.
VC my number one. Okay, now we'll do the same thing, except we're gonna do your most overrated team. Just give me two. Ty, you can go first. We might have some.
Okay,
This is
wait.
one I feel like we'll have
Wait.
some different answers.
Okay, overrated. So, I mean, as I'm gonna look through the rest of my bracket, the first team that immediately comes to mind is Nebraska for me. They're just so fraudulent. And again, just the thing like if you've never won a March Madness game, that's going to be in your head the whole time you're practicing for this game, the whole time you're warming up, the whole time you're playing this game. You are going to be nervous, right? And Nebraska's a big school. They've been around for a long time, so this isn't like some little record they're about to break. Like if they win a March Madness game, that's gonna be huge for their program. And I think that works against them when they're already sliding, they're already cold. Having those ridiculous expectations get put on you is just never a good idea,
Yeah.
personally. And as for the, I guess I'll go for the one seeds, right? Because as for the one seeds, I have most of them being pretty good. I just think Arizona has such a hard road to get to the Final Four that out of the one seeds, I would say that Arizona probably, for me, has the least amount of chance to make it to the Final Four.
Sure. Go ahead, Sam.
I was gonna say my overrated team is Houston, and I stand by. I just think that they're just like a fraud. I think like they're just like same team, different font each year. I mean, like yeah, offense might have switched up, but like I just don't think that. I don't think that they're a Final Four. Wait, where do I have them going before I say that? Oh yes, they don't make it past Sweet 16. I don't think that they're like. I think they're a good team, but I think like they're severely overrated. I think my number one overrated, like number one seed overrated team is Florida. I think they lost their first game, and then they lose the second game too, or I don't know, something like that. I don't know. I don't think that they have like a consistent core. I don't think that they're all there. They got something going on. They're gonna lose to Vandy. It's whatever, you know. Moving on.
Yeah, I have Florida as well. I think they're the most overrated team in this entire bracket. Just because, and maybe not like the most overrated team, but it's the seeding that I'm slightly confused about. To say I think that's where it kind of comes because it's not because like it's one thing for Michigan to be a one seed and to lose in like the conference tournament championship. Florida didn't even make it there, so like it's something like that. And didn't Florida actually lose in the quarterfinals? Like, did they make it to the semis? Yeah, no. So
no, they didn't.
So I don't understand why. And by the way, for context for everybody watching, Florida wasn't even a 1 seed 2 weeks ago. They were actually a 2 or 3 seed. And for some reason now they get blown up by Vandy and then move up. I'm a little confused. So they're probably my number one. But I think another overrated team is probably Kansas. I know me and Sam specifically have talked about this. Just talking about them in general, like being in person. But Kansas has been rough. They have probably had the most rocky season I've seen in a minute. It's actually them and UCLA have the two rockier seasons of everybody in the tournament. And it's weird because I actually like their coach. I think Bill Self is one of the best coaches in the whole country. But they're just such a weird team that really relied on their home court
Darren Peterson
way too much, and they relied on Darren Peterson a lot.
And Council is just like he doesn't step up when he's supposed to. Like he has his moments, but he just really needs to be better about it.
I agree. So I think those are my two probably most overrated teams. And then I also have Alabama, but we kind of already talked about Alabama a lot. But Bama is definitely Bama could really lose to Hofstra if I'm to be totally real with you. Okay, now for the time that everybody has come to, you've only sat here for 58 minutes. Now we're gonna do our final fours. Same order, Ty. You can go ahead.
Yeah. So I have Duke playing Houston, which would be amazing. That would be a rematch of last year where Duke ultimately ended up losing. And I think Duke gets the get back. I think that's also a great storyline. Like they re-meet in the Final Four and Duke gets them this time. I just think this Duke team is in a wagon. They're so good. They've basically never been trailing this whole year. And those are the types of teams that just win. The teams that don't go down. like a lot of those good teams lose because they get down by a lot, they start freaking out, they don't know how to fix the game, right? But Duke just never lets it get out of hand to the point where the game's out of reach. It's always in the grasp of their hands, and even if it's like a close game, it always feels like they kind of have control over what's going on,
Yeah.
which is a great thing for me personally in March. So I have them making the finals, and then in my West and Midwest, this might be a little bit of not really, but I have Michigan playing Purdue in my Final Four, which would
Yeah.
be great. That would be a rematch of the Big Ten Finals. And I think Michigan gets their get back on Purdue, which seems to me like again, I kind of thing about these tournament champions is most of the time it's really hard to beat a team twice in a really high pressure situation. So if they're gonna play again, and if Purdue's gotten all the way here, I have them beating Arizona in the Elite Eight. So they're rolling at this point, but I just think Michigan again is so solid. And again, if they're making it out of their bracket, it's gonna be hard to stop Michigan.
I agree. Go ahead,
So
Sam.
that's my final. And currently, I have
Yeah.
Duke winning. I can see that switching, but I think my final two teams will not be switching. Those will be my final two teams. But currently, I have Duke winning. That matchup.
Word. Go ahead, Sam.
I have Duke for the East and South. I got Duke and Illinois because I'm rocking with Illinois. I don't
You
know.
a hater?
Something about Illinois is really just screaming me. And then I have BYU and Michigan. I truly just think that H.A. Debansa is just just goated. I don't know. He's my college hero of the year. And I don't know. I just something about I just want to see him succeed. And I really think that he has the drive to take his team, to carry his team where they need to be to get to the Final Four. Now, I do have Duke, Michigan in the final. I think it's the most logical. I think that both teams are both even Steven. They have really good they don't really let the pressure get to them. Same situation. Michigan's in the same situation as Duke. They haven't really trailed any games. They always had the games within arm's reach, even if they were behind. So I don't know. I think it'll be hard for a team to get in front of them by a lot or get in front of them without them taking off ahead of time. So we shall see.
Sure. And then who's your champ?
Duke.
I like it. So mine is similar and different in different ways. So on the left side, I have Duke Houston, like Ty, and I have Duke going to the championship game for the actual exact reasons that Ty said. That is very storybook get back
Right.
for Duke. And I mean we could talk about Duke for hours, but the one thing I will say about Duke that Ty also mentioned is that I think it says a lot when Duke hasn't really led or hasn't really fallen behind a lot at all, and it's the overall control and composure that I think draws me to Duke.
Yeah.
And I feel like it tells you a lot when you see a dude, when you see people talk about Cam Boozer as one of the most composed freshmen that they've ever seen. That is not just he's genuinely so calm, cool, and collected. So I think that's gonna be my Final Four for those two, and then this other side. I told you there'd be some bias, so I mean Arizona's in there, and I feel like up to this point, Arizona. I agree, Ty. Well, they'll be battle tested, but here's the thing with Arizona that I think is the reason why they'll be in the Final Four. It's not like Arizona hasn't been battle tested before. Arizona had one of the easier beginnings to the to conference play. I don't know if you remember. They played all the cupcakes in the beginning, and then they had an actual month and a half streak of playing top 15 teams back to back to back on the road, home, on the road, home. And the fact that they only have 2 losses within that, I think tells you a lot. And
It's crazy.
And one of their losses was when Koa Pete wasn't playing. So that I feel like is also a thing. And Koa Pete is not just healthy; he is tearing it up again. And not playing. And I feel like at least when I was watching the Big 12 tournament, he wasn't playing as a third option. He was playing as a third option that was scoring.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that tells you a lot about Arizona.
No,
and then right. I told you guys this off camera, but the Midwest, I'm confused. I don't know what to do with the Midwest. I've Iowa State in there now, but that's probably going to change. I do not know what's going to happen. All I know is that me personally, I have Arizona going to the final, and it's going to be Arizona Duke. And I think that game is going to be one of the greatest national championships I
Oh
think we're
yeah.
ever going to see.
So
Because that is literally the battle of East versus West, if you really think about it. Like, that's literally going to be so good against the two best conferences this year. And then I have Arizona winning it for the reasons that I mentioned before. They're just battle tested. But
I also think there's a stat that says a team west of Texas hasn't won in, I want to say, 50 years or ever. So that would be, if Arizona pulls off, this would be one of the most amazing runs.
it really would be. And I think you mentioned it before, Ty, but Arizona has burnt me in a lot of spots. That DeAndre Ayton team, that DeAndre Ayton team, I had literally winning the entire thing. They lost week 2.
I can't get it out of my head.
I can't either. And then there's another team with Jaden Bradley on it that did the exact same thing to you.
Yep. I know,
but
and they've burned me too many times. I just can't.
believe me, I'm so with you. But at the same time, Sam's known
They're
this.
so
I've
good,
been
though.
on Arizona all year.
All year. No,
I have been. Like,
Yeah.
I think I either told Sam or Spence, Ty, when we were just watching the game. I was like, because they showed, like, the list of teams that they had to go through. I'm like, if they come out of this with
Yeah.
2 losses or less, or like 3 losses or less, they're gonna win the entire thing, and
Yeah.
they've done that. So I can't just go off my thought. But
And
yeah,
they
I have
have
Arizona.
Bryce Jane. That's a lot of aura.
Like what?
There's a lot of aura on that team, and you already know that big Brown Brown's gonna be watching too. So you already know.
Yeah.
You already know who
Big
he's
Bron Bron and Lil Bron Bron.
Mhm. They're rooting for Akron,
Watch
and they're
Lil
rooting for Arizona. That's who they're rooting for.
Hilarious.
Okay, so I have Zona, Ty, you have Duke, and Sam, you have Duke as well. Okay,
Yeah.
which honestly makes sense because it's the top 2 seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do we have anything else to talk about? I feel like we've only talked about for an hour and 5 minutes, but anything else?
Yeah, I think we kind of covered it pretty good. This should be a
I
good
think-
tournament, though. I'm super excited. I can see it going a lot of different ways, so I'm excited to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, I'm hyped. This is gonna be a good one. I think people are saying that it's gonna be as chalked as last year, and I just disagree with them so hard.
I disagree as well.
I
Yeah.
disagree too.
And I can almost guarantee them one thing: we are not getting 4 1 seed Final Four teams. That's
I agree with that.
that's not happening this year. But okay, so if we have nothing else, then we're gonna end it here. I appreciate you two, jumping on. Hopefully there's another
Yeah, of
time.
course.
But yes, but I appreciate y'all hopping on. Check us out this is gonna be on Spotify and YouTube. So if you're listening and watching, thank you.
Link in bio.
Yes, link in bio, link in everything. Check us out on Instagram, TikTok, all the good stuff. But appreciate everybody watching. Appreciate you guys joining me, and ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Peace.